The headline is Pat Freiermuth has compared Tyler Waren to Travis Kelce. That's what he thinks he sees, and he played 1 year with Tyler Waren, and he's pretty damn good for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he's the last All-American tight end that Penn State produced way back in 2019. But the way that I got to this story is also as interesting as Pat Freiermuth comparing Tyler Waren to what I believe is the greatest tight end who has ever lived in Travis Kelce. Jake Trotter has been on a tear, right? Since moving from the NFL beat to writing basically features above the Mason-Dixon line for ESPN, he's been outstanding. And that tracks because Jake covered OU for the Oklahoman, which is a premium beat in a regional part of the country that really cares about OU football. And he was always really ahead, and he was always very good about not just reporting, but sharpening an angle. And he's had a number of really good stories this season. He's doing basically what Chris Lowe does in the SEC, right? In as far as finding out what it is that's really interesting about a team that might have a brand name, and then going to uncover a little bit more than we can at the surface. Chris Lowe wrote a really good game feature of Ryan Williams after the astonishing game that he had against Alabama. And I'm sure we're going to see more about Jeremiah Smith down the line and other stars in this sport. And that's one of the things that I find interesting about Tyler Waren is he's an unlikely star in a sport where really trying to identify stars year to year is not as easy as some would like it to be. I know this because I came up with a list of 100 superstars in the sport. Tyler Waren wasn't there, right? And I don't feel bad about that, except to say if I did it now, he's got to be a top 10 player, right? He has 47 catches for 559 yards, but at the top of the list is everything else he does, right? He is versatile as Taysom Hill was at New Orleans Saints before they kind of settled on what it is that guy does now. But that was a former quarterback who was being asked to do something different and had the athleticism and the speed to get it done. Also in here, Tyler Waren has managed to do something that Travis Hunter has not just yet. He's rushed for a TD as well as thrown for a TD as well as passed for a TD this season. It's a short list of guys that can do that, and I have been dying for Pat Shurmur and Deion Sanders to come up with a way to get Travis Hunter a rushing TD, to get him a passing TD, if for no other reason but to bolster his argument for the Heisman Trophy. But along with Harold Fannin at Bowling Green, who is another tight end, I don't know that we talk as much about Tyler Waren and Harold Fannin for winning the Heisman Trophy as much as we should, because Ashton Jeanty is taking the sport by storm with what he's been able to do at Boise State. Up until rushing for 128 yards in a close win against a ULV team that lost to Syracuse, and Syracuse got stomped out by Pitt, he had been averaging better than 200 yards per game, right? And it felt like he was going to need to do that for the duration to break Barry Sanders' single-season rushing record of 2,628 yards. He's going to rush for 2,000 yards. That part we know. But he's going to do it at Boise State. While Travis Hunter could be on a team that wins 10 games this year, given what their schedule looks like. I think Texas Tech ends up being the toughest opponent they have left. Tech, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Utah. I think they should be able to win all of those games if they remain healthy and if Travis remains healthy. That's been the thing. We are talking about a guy not winning the Heisman Trophy, not because he doesn't have the stats to prove it, but because his health has been at issue. And that happens, right? I watched Kyler Murray take the Heisman Trophy away from Tua Tagovailoa in a year where it felt like Tua Tagovailoa was going to win the Heisman Trophy because Jalen Hurts had to come in and win an SEC championship game, and Kyler Murray beat Texas en route to a Big 12 championship and got Oklahoma into the college football playoff off of that win. It might be something like that down the line, and I think when we're talking about Dylan Gabriel and we're talking about Cam Ward, that's what we're going to be talking about. Cam Ward has an opportunity to be on an undefeated Miami team that could win the ACC championship against a very good Clemson team. That makes him a really hard candidate to beat because this is a traditional quarterback and running back award, and we like to give this award to the best player on the best team, usually the quarterback on that team, especially if that team is undefeated in a Power 4 setting. The thing about Dylan Gabriel, though, is while he has not been, shall we say, exciting in the traditional sense of like wow plays that a Heisman makes, he has been scarily efficient, and he has an opportunity even with 6 years playing college football, to become the NCAA's all-time leading passer ahead of Case Keenum. But he's got something even Case Keenum doesn't have, and for that matter, Cam Ward or Travis Hunter. He has beaten both Texas and Ohio State in back-to-back years, and he's done it efficiently where it was very clear to everybody who watched him play that he affected winning. If you did not have Dillon Gabriel at Oklahoma last year, you don't beat Texas. If you don't have Dillon Gabriel at Oregon this year, you don't beat Ohio State. And it has been that simple. It has been plug and play for those offensive coordinators that have him. And if they run the table and they win the Big Ten championship, they will be the number one team going into the college football playoff. And that makes him a really difficult dude to beat, if no other reason than he's already got those 2 wins and undefeated, things that Miami and Cam Ward do not. He's also a remarkably good person and kind person. As much as people want to say that your character shouldn't matter all that much about who wins an MVP type of award, it certainly does. And it makes it easier for us to root for you. It makes it easier for us to talk about you. And people in my position are usually somewhat skittish about talking about those folks that make others unhappy because of what they might do, either from a criminal standpoint or from a political standpoint. You just want to stay away from it for the most part. I'm still of the thought that Tyler Waren is going to win the Mackey Award because Penn State is the number 3 team in the country. And if they beat Ohio State, it's a wrap. It's his. Harold Fanning could still run him down, but I don't think he's going to run him down given what Penn State has done and given where Penn State plays, because there are levels to this. And Bowling Green is not on the level to this. The same reason that I think that Ashton Jeanty would lose to Travis Hunter. And Travis Hunter's doing something that nobody else is doing. He's going both ways, and he's playing a million snaps. By the time he finishes playing his college football career, he will probably have played the equivalent, right, of 5 seasons of college football in 3 years. And he's looked great, man. His conditioning has been unmatched. And I don't know that we spent a whole lot of time talking about that. But as all of these injuries have kind of come to get Oklahoma in particular, I have been paying attention to who is able to keep their guys healthy and who can go down the depth chart, right, when they're not healthy. Oklahoma's had so many injuries and been hit by the injury bug so much that it's really difficult to look at the play calling from the offensive coordinator and make that only his problem. Yes, Seth Luttrell was out of ideas by the Houston game. But the injuries that have come to Oklahoma need to be pointed back to strength coach Jerry Schmidt, who is a legend in the industry, right, and a legend at Oklahoma. It matters, but I really want to know what programming was going on and why these injuries have affected the offensive line, the wide receiver group, the running backs, the defense. I mean, you keep going down the line, right? I'm looking at what Colorado has done with its program and how many of those guys that were unhealthy are healthy, and guys that got injuries earlier this year have been able to come back and play, right? Like, that's remarkable. I think we need to be talking about Mo and what he got going on over there a little bit more than we used to. And we don't give an award for the best strength coach in the country, and I don't think they would want one, frankly. It's a different kind of cat that got to be a strength coach, and one of them, that kind of cat, he ain't looking for no awards. He looking to field a football team that is healthy and raring to go and can whoop everybody's ass. That's what he's out for. I look at Tyler Waren, and I'm asking the same question about their conditioning because he is ready to do whatever it is that Andy Kotelnicki asked him to do. And the defense, save Abdul Carter, and the offensive line, save right tackle, have been healthy on the offense defense. And Nick Singleton has been able to come back, and it's been okay. But I wonder if Tyler Waren is going to have the effect on this game that Marvin Harrison Jr. might have, right? I wonder who's going to be the JT Tuimoloau, because Tyler Waren has the capacity to do to Ohio State what Marvin Harrison Jr. did to everybody else. You should take the game over. I mean, I watched this guy take Penn State from down 20-6 on the road against USC and lead them to a comeback victory, 33-30 in overtime, with 17 catches for over 200 yards. He tied the FBS record for catches in a game, and he broke the Penn State record for tight end catches in a game, FBS record for tight end catches in a game with 17, which also leads me back to James and Andy. Go get that man another catch to get to 18, give him the record in FBS, give us something else to crow about with this guy. I don't know that there's a ready-made stop for him on Ohio State's defense not named Caleb Downs, right? And if you got to make Caleb Downs travel, that means you're going to have openings everywhere else, particularly in the run game. But yes, at center field. I really want to see what Tyler Warren is capable of against this Ohio State defense, and if he can do more to be perhaps Penn State's first consensus All-American since Kyle Brady in 1995.